This is Shred Rogers, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hello.
Hey, Bruce, how's it going, sir?
How are you, my friend?
Good.
Where are you located?
I am in Three Rivers, Michigan, which is southwest Michigan, about 3 hours from Chicago.
So cold as hell?
Not today, actually. It's starting to warm up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and it's really nice today.
Oh, very cool.
Probably.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 60s, I think, so I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you joining me. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't even know where to begin because this is an interesting project. Maybe
Sure.
start by telling... You still there?
I am. Yep. Just changing my video background there.
Okay, there we go. There you go.
Yeah.
So let's start by telling, I guess, the listeners where this idea came about, because you're mixing sort of like nursery rhymes and rock and metal, and it's very interesting to me. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I actually have been a part of the cyber metal band, A Dark Halo, for quite some time. I was one of the co-founders, and I'm essentially the rhythm guitarist of the band. We started in 2004, and then we were on hiatus, I'd say around like 2006. And I was, newly married and decided to have a family. For us, the family option really became like we couldn't have any children biologically, so we started to foster children. And as the years have gone on, I've now adopted my 3 boys. And during that time, however, I still listen to metal. I still have a passion for it. I started messing around one day with my son, my oldest son now, when he was really little. I was just kind of jamming the wheels on the bus, go round and round. And I started just doing the death voice,
Right.
And I thought, I'm kind of a quirky guy and I love metal. And I'm like, there might be something here with that. So as the years have gone on, I released a demo of Wheels on the Bus. I ended up recording something with the little bit that I had at the time. On the top of my head, I can't remember how many years ago that was now, but I put the demo up on YouTube as Daddy Death Metal. That was the name I first gave myself.
Nice.
And it was like one day I looked at it about 4 years ago, and it was like 50-something thousand views, and I didn't do anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, yep. So fast forward now. And last year in August, A Dark Halo, we got back together in 2018, and last year in August we released our second album. And since I have a home studio now, I decided I'm going to make a solo project, and it's going to be the reimagined kids music. But then as the years have gone on too, Bruce, I have occasionally been called to make inspirational songs for people in my life that maybe someone has passed away, and I want to make something in their honor. Or I had an old boss that got a new job that was like more for like fitting her heart, so I made a song for her. So these other instrumentals were being created that still kind of came from that place of love.
Right.
And so those combined with the reimagined kids songs have now made up my first album as Shred Rogers.
And what's been the response to it so far?
Well, I released a few singles, and the one that really is catching some interest is Baba Black Sheep. I released that one last year. It's been very exciting, but I still feel like I'm very much in the beginning of this.
Right. So what's and forgive me here because I don't really know, what's the market? Is it metalheads? Is it metalhead parents? Is it parents in general? What's your target market?
Everybody.
Everybody.
But I think, yeah, because I want to I want the parents of parents that are metalheads that want to find something that they know they can give to their children to listen to that's just as brutal and heavy as like Morbid Angel and Dimmu Borgir, but doesn't come from a place of anger or hatred or evil. So like, they can feel good about, hey, I'm going to throw on Baba Black Sheep and it's just as insane sounding.
Right.
But I don't have to worry about, there being, something that maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable with their
Sure.
kids to hear.
Right.
But also just for people that want to have something quirky and silly. Like there was a group Baby Metal that came out years ago that I was really into. I mean, that's just weird.
Yeah.
They are still around, yes. But I loved that too. It's like it's so quirky and odd and it's cool. So
Also, as I'm just thinking here as you're talking, it sort of is I don't know, I hate to say gateway, but an introduction to the heavier stuff when they get older, right? Because it's not going to be so surprising if somebody throws on a Slayer record or a Whitechapel record or something, right?
Right. Yes, because I also think that it's important for, kids and adults that are dealing with a lot of, like, let's say mental illness or struggles to know that, like, this music is out here that you can connect to and listen to, but also maybe you yourself could learn how to play and do it too. And there's really no limit.
Right.
And like let's say somebody comes across my music and they're like, wow, this sounds really heavy, but I'm kind of curious to hear more. I want this to like open the dialogue for people to be okay eventually with even discovering those other bands like Slayer and stuff. And really, because a lot of you probably know this, but when you really take a deep dive in these bands' works, you realize they might have this image, they might have this show, and they might really be coming from a dark place when they're trying to channel their negativity out.
Right.
But most of the time, they're just like us, like people that want the world to be a better place.
And you hit that right on the head, right? I've been championing that for a long time on this show. And I think you hit it, you sort of roundabout hit it. It's cathartic, right? No matter what. Probably your Baba Black Sheep is just as cathartic as, World Painted Blood by Slayer. It's that heaviness, that aggression that helps you, or me and many of the listeners I've talked to and artists, channel that aggression into a more positive place. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I mean, it's super cathartic, both for the listener and the artist.
Right.
Excellent. What do you have planned next? Do you have like a list of more you're doing, or are you going to stick with these three for the moment?
Oh yeah. Actually, as of right now, my album's complete. I released, I started releasing Shred Rogers music in, I think it was late 2022. My first single, Alive, came out, and that was an instrumental original. Mainly it was like a big, FU to the pandemic, and like,
right.
I survived this, I'm alive. So it's kind of in the vein of like Megadeth and Metallica, instrumentals.
Mhm.
But I released that, Baba Black Sheep, Wheels on the Bus, and then I have another personal song called Jib that I released, which I wrote that to deal with the grief of a lost loved one, a friend of mine named Jib that died some years back. I made it for his family originally as something to have for whenever they miss him. But then that's now become part of the album. But the album is called The Circle, and it's going to be coming out on April 5th, and there's 11 tracks. So the next step is actually next week. I'm going to start really pushing to have information put out about the album coming out, about what I'm about. And on February 23rd, I'm doing a YouTube Q&A, and I'm going to be unveiling myself in the makeup for the first time, because there's going to be the visual component to this.
That's great. So I don't know if this is a thing, but is this going to be is there like a live thing coming up in the near future?
Nothing planned. Nothing planned concretely, but I would love to. Yes.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.
I already have a comic book idea in the work, and also I'll be working on video playthroughs, and then I have something called Shred Talks, that I'm going to be doing where I talk about, give like positive information, like it's almost like, I mean, I'll be honest, my name is derived somewhat from Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, only by spirit. I want to like be a positive role model in this world of heaviness. So
Yeah, I mean, I give you credit. That's something everybody needs, right? Not even just in heaviness, just a positive person in this crazy world we live in.
right.
And you're bringing up kids now. I mean, mine are old and out, but still the same thing. I mean, you definitely bring a little bit of the positivity because they see negative crap all day long at work or at school or wherever they are.
Right. Yeah. And I'm also a guitar teacher currently. So I have two students that are in their mid to late teens. So even those guys, I've been mentoring, and they're seeing what I'm doing with this project as an influence. So,
what do your kids think? Are they all on board, or are they like, Dad, what the heck are you doing?
oh yeah, they like it. I mean, they know I've always been kind of an oddball to them. My oldest is 11 years old, and he doesn't really understand it. But he's like, that's just Dad. And then my little ones, they like the beat to it. But like sometimes though, when I throw on, like, let's say Wheels on the Bus, they say, I want to hear the good Wheels on the Bus, not the dark one. Oh,
Nice.
but it is good.
Right.
That's okay.
So when you're looking to write, and you said you're constantly writing more songs, well, what are you looking at? Are you looking at converting nursery rhymes? Or, I mean, because I imagine this opens up to like Dr. Seuss stuff. You could probably get to a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah. So this, I've been like laser focused on getting this album done because some of the musical ideas on here, and not necessarily the reimagined nursery rhymes, but the other songs I've had as demos in various forms for probably decades.
Mhm.
I wanted to make a concept album in a way. I'm a big fan of like Dream Theater and other like progressive metal. So like some of the music on here very much has that flavor too. It's not all about the speed and aggression. There's
Right.
moments of lightness, I guess you could say, or just variety. As a matter of fact, like half the album is instrumental. The only songs that have lyrical or vocals are the covers, except one track in the beginning. But it's very much designed to be an album experience. After this has been released and I start to do video content, I do plan to continue working on reimagined children's songs. And I'm thinking the next album will probably be more straightforward. Like I might do like an EP or an album of just reimagined kids songs that are short and concise.
Still heavy.
Still heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think and I also think, just sitting here thinking, I think it's a great idea because I've seen people, attempt at doing stuff like that and it's never quality. But since you've got the chops to do it and the experience in the music business, I mean, you're doing it really, really well. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, my intention has been to like, because like what you're saying, I mean, as a parent of wanting to find like what's out there like this, a lot of times it's not up to quality and there's always a cheese factor.
Always.
Someone might think that some of this is cheesy, but no, I very much like when I wrote Baba Black Sheep in particular, I wanted it to be like throwing on Dimmu Borgir,
Right.
and Devin Townsend and like Strapping Young Lad, and like it's as heavy. And I put everything I had into it.
Right.
And instead of going, yeah, it's like bah, bah,
Right.
bah. So,
Right. No, I think that makes sense, but it's recorded well. It's not like the music was an afterthought, right? I mean, the music is part of the whole package, as opposed to some of the other stuff I've seen where they're like, hey, here's our message, and we're just going to throw some, to use your word, cheesy music behind it, or cheesy production, and it's just kids, they'll get away with it. This is actually the real deal, right? It's a great produced, well played record.
yeah, I seem to think so, but of course I'm biased.
Right. No, but I'm telling you from my end, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
And that makes a difference, I think, as opposed to like, the junk that people just throw out thinking, well, I'll just make a buck off of the kids and their parents.
Right. Honestly, my goal is I just want to spread love and joy using what gifts I have finally like realized I believe I have, right? That's number one. If I can make a living off of it somehow, that's great. But I have other jobs. You have a full-time job, if you will, besides this. So
I don't know that many people make full-time jobs out of music anymore anyway. It's pretty
Right.
difficult out there. It's
Right.
not the 80s and the 90s anymore. This is like a whole new world.
Right.
And I talk to bands all day long, doing this podcast, and bigger bands, and they're all doing something on the side to try and supplement because touring sucks and nobody buys records.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think you can disqualify what you're doing because it's only part-time, because I think everybody's sort of in this part-time.
Right. For the
That makes
passion.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, including myself. I mean, I don't, I'm not paying my mortgage on this thing. I do it because I love it. I like talking to people. I like metal, spreading the word and whatever. And I too have a full-time job, and you just do what you do. And if it takes off, amazing. If it doesn't, I'm still having a blast doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was a quote that I read years ago, I want to leave the world better than I found it. And that's very much like a core belief now and how I try to live.
Sweet. So what's next for you then? You're going to do the Q&A on the 23rd, you said?
February 23rd, yep. And then that following Tuesday on February 27th, my next single is coming out. And it's really the first official single of the album. It's called I'm a Nut. And that one is actually the most straightforward of the album, of like, it's pretty close to what people may be familiar with. And I not only do the grunts and growls on it, but I sing on that one. But that's going to be the single. And on the 27th of February, it's not going to be on Spotify, but it'll be released through my Bandcamp for download. Also, I have a YouTube animated lyric video coming out.
Are you doing all that stuff yourself?
I have friends
that
that I've known since high school. Like, I'm kind of bringing along a lot of my beloved family and friends that have, they're also kind of in a similar spot. They're, we all have our trials, right? And I'm trying to bring them up with me.
Right.
So yep. So I have a couple buddies that are working on that right now with me. I'm an artist too, to a point. Like, I sketched what this eventually became.
Right. And if fans want to find you, can you give us all your socials and your contact info and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I have a link tree, actually. That was probably the best way to find me.
Is that
if you look
Shred
up
Rogers?
Yeah, Shred Rogers link tree. Folks should find it. I can give you the link if you want to put this on your.
Yeah, absolutely.
Publish it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just email it to me or put it in the chat room. We can take it from there. But did I miss anything you wanted to cover?
Not really. I'm just really hopeful that like following. So I came up with a kind of a mantra as I was developing what's now become Shred Rogers, and my saying is to achieve your dreams, follow your heart, do your best, be brave, the Shred Rogers way. So I very much am living that. Like, this is the first time I'm like following what my heart's telling me to do, and I'm hoping that it'll resonate. And I thank you for taking the time.
Oh, no problem. And in the end, I think, and I applaud you, I think the world needs more positivity anyway. So no matter what, you're doing something great. Whether everybody else catches on or not, at the end of the day, you probably feel good about yourself, right? Because you're doing some sort of positivity and sending it out into the world.
Exactly. Yep.
In a time when we all really, really need it.
Yes. Thank you, Bruce, for asking and for having me come on. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Good luck with the record. Good luck with the Q&A, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Good work. We'll see you. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of Peer Pleasure on the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. Join me each week as I explore another long-form conversation with one of your favorite musicians, actors, comedians, or creatives. From Chino Moreno of the Deftones, John Gorley of Portugal the Man, to Fat Mike from NoFX and Ian MacKaye from Fugazi and Minor Threat, we go all over the map. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, Peer Pleasure has it all. Check us out now on Sound Talent Media.